This is Module 2, Lesson 4. As teaching professionals, we know that lessons and activities aren't always one size fits all. A teacher's job goes way beyond just delivering the content and giving their students an assessment. To ensure success for all learners, we know that a lot of time goes into reteaching, scaffolding, extension activities, and remediation. These differentiation strategies are not only important, but they are crucial in a 21st century classroom. You may be thinking, or have heard time and time again, that sounds great, but I'll never have enough time to actually do that. Differentiating can tend to feel like a large task, but it doesn't have to be that way. Differentiating, both virtually and in person, should feel natural and can easily be accomplished using these 6 techniques. Sophistication, same skills, different complexity levels. This is what you typically think of when you think of differentiation. This is where you are teaching the same skills, but the level of complexity is different. Using an LMS or a learning management system that works for your classroom makes assigning students certain assignments a breeze. Engagement, allowing students to have options and to approach learning from where they want to explore or what they're interested in. This doesn't have to be something that takes a lot of time. An authentic example from my time in the classroom is where I allowed students to pick a specific natural disaster and create a magazine spread or website page about it. This may seem super simple, but it allowed for students to pick the type of natural hazard they were interested in most to explore, pick their own natural disaster that occurred, and then choose how they wanted to communicate what they learned. If a student loved to draw or take photographs, a magazine article might have been something that they found fun. Well, if I had a student who was interested in technology or graphic design, they may have found creating a Google site more comfortable. Technique. Which way are you going to teach the material? This may include, but is not limited to, making different instructional videos and assigning the videos based on a formative assessment score, or assigning one group an extension activity while you do a reteaching lesson with the other group. Output, allowing students to choose how they show content mastery or learn. This may include letting students choose how they complete an assignment or take notes. An example could be allowing students to choose if they'd like to take traditional style notes or take sketch notes from watching 2 different notes videos based on what's going to be the best way for them to learn. Topic, which skills am I going to work on with each student? When I taught 7th grade science, we covered a lot of introductory chemistry topics. While most of my students were able to learn the new content and be successful without any additional support, some of my students needed to be retaught some basic math skills that they missed for whatever reason. With technology, I was able to let some of my students explore chemistry topics that were interesting to them, while I pulled a few students and was able to give them a refresher lesson on ratios. Without differentiating and pulling those students, they would have never been able to keep up with the class. But after taking 15 to 20 minutes, they felt like they could be successful and keep up with the rest of the class. My other students were just as excited to share what they had learned about careers as chemical engineers, or what makes Gatorade so special, and what exactly is in margarine, which led to some interesting conversations about chemistry. Approach, target different students based on how they interact with information. This could include learning style, mastery level, etc., but it allows us for time to make accommodations in the way we teach for what works best for each of our students. When I'm coaching teachers, I always encourage them to start small. Differentiated instruction doesn't have to be creating 4 or 5 lessons and assigning them to different groups of students. You can and should start with something simple. This could be providing different examples, explanations, or vocabulary choices. An additional way to differentiate in small ways is to strategically pair or group students to give them some additional support as they practice new skills or apply their content knowledge on a project or assignment. It was always hard for me to let go of the reins, but I always had to remind myself that sometimes the best teachers in our classrooms are our students. The way they might explain something to a peer might just be what makes everything click for that student. By using technology to group students together, it can save us a lot of time and keep students on track and accountable for their learning. Next, I would encourage them to keep additional support resources on hand. If you see a student struggling or getting bored with the content you're working on with the rest of the class, have resources available that you can throw in the chat or post in your LMS that can really make the difference to catch them up or take their learning to the next level. These resources could include guided notes, recorded lessons, extra examples, pictures, videos, notes, templates, etc. Another way to quickly differentiate your lessons is to provide different levels of prompts or problems. Instead of having differentiated full lessons, focus on just one or two problems or prompts during or at the end of your lesson. Using tools like AutoMastery can help you easily differentiate which problems or prompts a student gets for their assignment based on formative assessment data. Your to-do task for this module is to pick one lesson and create a formative assessment to check for understanding somewhere in the lesson. Once you've made your formative assessment, differentiate the second part of your lesson using one of the strategies we talked about earlier. Please upload evidence of your lesson planning at the bit.ly link here. Thank you for watching Lesson 4 of Module 2, called Differentiating Blended Learning Lessons.